All right, so today we're going to be talking about one of Arrius Piso's main characters, which is Josephus. And real quick, a little mainstream information on Josephus, or Flavius Josephus, again, the first century Romano-Jewish historian. He is Roman. He's Roman. He is Arrius Piso. And through his mom, he is Jewish. So they're not really lying, but you see how they do it. Also, a military leader, it says, of course, Arrius Piso was a general in the Roman armies, right? So it says Flavius Josephus fully defected to the Roman side and was granted Roman citizenship. All right, he became an advisor and friend of Vespasian's son Titus. He was the friend of Titus. No, he is Titus most likely. Remember, check out the previous chapters of this. Today we're going to point something out about Josephus and his last name and a character in the New Testament. Okay, so it says Josephus, son of Matthias, was born into one Jerusalem's elite families, elite, right? Aristocrats, Jewish families, right? He was the second born son of Jewish priests. His older full-blooded brother was also, like his father, called Matthias. Their mother was an aristocratic woman who descended from the royal formerly ruling Hasmonean dynasty. All right, so we got to dodge the hijack with all this stuff. It's all code. We broke this down in the previous parts of this series. Who he really was his connection with the Jewish people, his mom, through his mom. His dad is the Pisos. The Hasmonean family is through his mom family. Herod, he is related to Herod the Great. So we broke that down already. But what was important here is that they're calling him Josephus, son of Matthias. Now remember that, son of Matthias. All right, so real quick, I'm just going to read from this book again, book Creating Christianity, A Weapon of Ancient Rome by Henry Davis. Sympathetically reveals how the Roman and Jewish aristocracies created the most famous story of all time. I'm going to go to this chapter where it says the main author, Arrius Piso. Okay, we're not going to read the whole chapter. It's a very long chapter. We're going to read a little bit of this chapter to correlate something for today's video. And we continue. It says, the time has now come to examine the evidence that points to a Piso family authorship of the scriptures, with that evidence coming directly from the New Testament. A good place to start would be to examine the connections between the alias names and the real names of Arrius Piso and the authors of the Gospels used. So that is what we shall do. First, Josephus, okay? Arrius introduces himself as Joseph Ben Matthias, which means Josephus, son of Matthias. Bar means son of in Aramaic. In Hebrew, the name appears as Josephus Ben Matthias. Ben meaning son of in Hebrew, all right? So you guys get that? So basically, Josephus Ben Matthias, Josephus son of Matthias, right? Or Bar Matthias, Josephus Bar Matthias, son of Matthias, or from the line of Matthias, right? Josephus in Latin is Joseph, but Josephus is Arrius Piso, because again of the overwhelming evidence. So Josephus introducing himself as a son of Matthias is Arrius introducing himself as a son of Matthias, which he was. Remember, we broke this down. He was a descendant of a specific Matthias that was in the Piso family through his mother's ancestors. But the name Piso has the same 4 letters in Hebrew as the name Joseph. Joseph, Piso, and it's the same symbol they're showing you. Joseph equals, and this is this one, right? It's almost the same, just arranged differently. Which means the name Flavius Josephus can also be seen as Flavius Piso, and so Josephus, son of Matthias, can also be seen as Piso, son of Matthias. Get it? Next, we have the name Joseph of Arimathea, a name that was briefly mentioned in the Gospels and Josephus, the Parallels chapter. The similarity between the name Joseph of Arimathea, the Josephus son of Matthias, name was noted as sounding phonetically the same. But if this name is examined again, it appears the techniques described in the previous chapter are being used. So Joseph can be Josephus, and Arimathea can be 2 names brought together using the abbreviation and acrostic techniques, those names are Arrius and Matthias. Ari, look at that. Ari, all right? Ari, Matthias, Arrius Matthias, Arrius Matthias. Look at the Ari again. Arimathea, which is the same as Arrius and Matthias. You see what they're doing? Arimathea, Arrius Matthias, Arimathea. Looking at that name, now we can see it meaning Josephus Piso of Arrius of Matthias, with the vowels E and A swished. All right, so now real quick, again, some mainstream information here on this character, which is Joseph of Arimathea. We already just broke down, it's really just Josephus Arrius Matthias, or Arrius the son of Matthias, right? Arimathea. Who is Joseph of Arimathea in the New Testament? In case you guys don't read scripture or know of the New Testament ever, he's actually a very important figure when it comes to Jesus and the day and the moment he got crucified. So let's read. Joseph of Arimathea was, according to all four canonical gospels, the man who assumed responsibility for the burial of Jesus after his crucifixion. So he's the guy who buried Jesus after his crucifixion. Joseph of Arimathea, Arrius, son of Matthias, Arrius. The historical location of Arimathea is uncertain. All right, this is a big one. So supposedly, when they're saying Joseph of Arimathea, they always wanted us to think that that meant a location, a landmass, a place, a city, a town where he was coming from. But really, it doesn't even exist. It never existed. Nobody's ever found it. They're still disputed. Nobody ever knows. And it's telling you right here, it's uncertain. They don't know where that is, because they don't mean of a place. They mean of the family of Arrius Matthias, the same family, of that family. Just like in Spanish, we say de las casas, of that family, of the Johnsons, of the, Williamsons, of the, that, and so on and so on. It's not a place, okay? It's not a place. Again, this is a character written by Josephus, aka Arrius Piso. Remember, although it has been identified with several towns, all right? So they're trying to look for it and say, no, it's this place. No, it's this place. No, it was this place. A number of stories that developed during the Middle Ages connect him with Glastonbury, England. Oh, now they're in England, okay. And also with the Holy Grail legend. Matthew 27:57 describes him simply as a rich man and disciple of Jesus. So he's a disciple, even though we never heard of him, right? Joseph of Arimathea, a rich person though. According to Mark 15:43, Joseph of Arimathea was a respected member of the council. All right, so he's an important person. Of course, it's Arrius Piso, son of Matthias, who was also himself looking for the kingdom of God, Luke 23:50-56 asked that he had not consented to their decision and action. He didn't like what they were doing. According to John 19:38, upon hearing of Jesus' death, the secret disciple of Jesus asked Pilate that he might take away the body of Jesus, and Pilate gave him permission. Joseph immediately purchased a linen shroud, all right? This is very important right here, this passage. I'm going to show you what Josephus wrote when he was there personally, what Josephus personally supposedly said to Titus during the siege of Jerusalem. Not Pilate. It wasn't Pilate who was taking over. It was Titus, right? Vespasian, Titus, Vespasian, Flavius, right? It's just Arrius Piso, all these people. We broke this down. So again, this character, Joseph of Arimathea, Arrius Matthias, right? He was the guy who buried Jesus. And he actually, hey, please let me take him down from the cross and bury him. This is the guy that supposedly did all that in the New Testament, okay? All right, so this, again, Joseph of Arimathea is the guy who brought Jesus down. So he was the one that supposedly also collected the blood, right? Or the Holy Grail. So it says here, the legend that Joseph was given the responsibility of keeping the Holy Grail was the product of Robert de Boron, who essentially expanded upon stories from Acts of Pilate. In Boron's Joseph de Arimathea, Joseph is imprisoned much as in the Acts of Pilate, but it is the Grail that sustains him during his captivity. Upon his release, he founds his company of followers. who takes the Grail to Britain, though Joseph does not go. The origin of the association between Joseph and Britain is not entirely clear. All right, this is again other writings they added. Though in subsequent romances, such as Per les Baus, Joseph travels to Britain, bringing relics with him. In the Lancelot Grail cycle, a vast Arthurian composition that took much from Robert, is not Joseph but his son Josephus, who is considered the primary holy man of Britain. Who? Josephus. It is Josephus, okay? Josephus. His son is named Josephus. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Look how obvious they're letting you know. So Josephus of Arimathea, Josephus, also called Joseph or Josephus, is the son of Joseph of Arimathea. It's the same people. Look at them repeating the name. He duplicated himself as the son and an early keeper of the Holy Grail and some tellings of the Arthurian legend. You see, Josephus. Again, let's go back to Josephus, right? Josephus, the Romano-Jewish historian. Again, Josephus, son of Matthias or Arimatheas, or Joseph of Arimathea, Joseph Ben or Arimathea or Arimathea, Arrius Piso, all these Josephs, right? So I found this article real quick just to correlate a little bit. It says here, Joseph of Arimathea, and Josephus, okay? When Barbelo was initially reviewed before publication, one of the comments I received was that the number of Josephs in the book was actually a bit bewildering. Joseph, the father of Christ, Joseph, Herod's treasurer, Joseph, the brother of Christ, Joseph Barnabas, Joseph Justus Barsabas, Joseph of Arimathea, and last but not least, Josephus, the Jewish historian. The prime focus of my investigation into the historicity of Christ was, of course, Joseph, his father, who was known as the Old Man, Sabas, of Judea, and died aged 111 years. He was a highly visible public figure, so one would expect Josephus to have mentioned him somewhere in his works, if not Joseph as Herod's treasurer. Curiously, the author of what appears to be an early version of Josephus' Wars, a document called The Wonderful and Most Deplorable History of the Latter Times of the Jews, with the destruction of the city of Jerusalem, which history begins where the Holy Scriptures end, calls himself Joseph Ben Gurion. This author of this book is believed to be an Italian Jew who lived in the 9th century or later and falsely professed to be the original Josephus. Look at that. We got another duplicate. And he has become known among scholars as Josephon, and pseudo-Josephus. And this person right here, in the other books we're reading, I'm not going to read that chapter, it's pretty long, but they break it down how this is the same person. It's literally Josephus. This is another of his pen names. And again, we go back to Arrius Piso because Josephus is Arrius Piso. Josephus is a pen name. A careful reading of the Josephon reveals some information that could only have been known to the real Josephus. And it is actually quite absurd to think that anyone would falsely claim to be this Josephus 800 years later. The most logical conclusion is that Josephon is merely an early copy, a copy of Josephus, copy of Josephus' work, which he later expanded to become the version we have today. The obvious question then is, of course, why the real Josephus Ben Matthias would originally have called himself Josephus Ben Gurion. Although the name Gurion or Gurion is mentioned in the Talmud, its meaning is not immediately obvious. It does, however, appear to be distorted from the Greek word geron, which means an old man. The Jews often had a Hebrew name as well as a foreign name. If Josephus Ben Gurion means Joseph, son of the old man, it would immediately suggest that Josephus was in fact called Josephus Bar Sabas, which would make him a half-brother of Christ. Joseph, right? They're talking about Josephus, brother of Christ, right? Josephus' genealogy is shown in table 1. All right, so this is like a little genealogy. Right, this is a fake genealogy, right? He's not Josephus. We already broke this down, right? We know that Matthias is an ancestor of Piso in the Piso family. Simon Cephalus meant to stutter. Remember, he had that in the family. One of the ancestors had a name which meant to stutter. We've broken this down in the last parts. Make sure you watch those if you can. It says a curious inconsistency in Josephus' lineage is that he refers to Simon Phasaelus as his great-grandfather, who strictly speaking should be Matthias Curtus. Never, all right, so even Josephus messed up right there, because it should be, according to what he says in other accounts, it should be Marcus Matthias Curtu. That should be his great-grandfather, not this Simon Fellows guy. But the Fellows guy is actually Piso's real relative, which means stutterer. It had a different name, right? Nevertheless, there is a Joseph in this list, the one who was born around 68, 67 BC. Could this be Sabas, the old man? Now, this brings us to a man known as Joseph of Arimathea, spelled Arimathaias, Matthias, right? Arrius Piso, Arimatheas, remember, son of Matthias. In Greek, a secret disciple, he's a secret disciple. You're not supposed to know him. He's secret of Christ, but also he's a rich man though, and prominent member of the council. All right, rich and prominent member of the council, and a good and upright man. This is the Joseph who boldly asked Pontius Pilate, the procurator of Judea, for Christ's body after the crucifixion, and placed it in his own newly cut tomb in a garden at the place where Christ was crucified. According to the itinerary of the anonymous pilgrim of Bordeaux, the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea was about a stone's throw away from the place of the crucifixion. Like literally, this guy's land was where they crucified supposedly Jesus. Literally, it was like right there. All right, this Joseph of Arimathea. We're gonna read Josephus' actual book right now, what he wrote. All right, the War of the Jews. We're gonna go read that right after this. I'm gonna show you something big. In the apocryphal, the Gospel of Peter, this garden is in fact called the Garden of Joseph. Okay, where he got buried, the Garden of Joseph. Look at that. Following Luke, it is commonly assumed that Arimathea was a town of Judea, but no town by that name has been identified as yet. Again, that is not a town. You see, they still tell people this stuff. There's pastors teaching people this stuff. They don't even know what they're saying. All right, there is no town of that name. They've never been found. It never existed. Eisler speculates that he may indeed have been Josephus. He is Josephus, the historian, as Joseph Bar Matthias. That is Josephus. I'm going to show you why today. I'm going to prove it, where he got that story of the crucifixion and 3 people being hung and 1 surviving. I'm going to show you that. Who claimed to be the son of a renowned man called Matthias. Arimathea, Matthias, again, spelled Arimatheas, Arrius Piso. Remember how they do those things. A closer look at the construction of the name Arimathea suggests that the name refers to a person and not a place. It's to a person and not a place. The Greek word ara means a prayer or a curse, suggesting that the name simply means the cursed Matthias. The cursed Matthias, why? Why is he cursed? Assuming that Matthias is just a variant spelling of Matthias. Joseph of Arimathea then becomes Joseph, the son of the cursed Matthias. This Matthias must have been a public figure in order for him to have earned such a nickname. All right, so remember, we already broke it down. The that goes so well with Arrius, right? Arrius Piso. All right, so real quick, we were just talking about Joseph of Arimathea, right? Bringing down Jesus from the cross and burying him, he was asking the Roman Pilate, Pontius Pilate to, give him permission to take him down and give him a proper burial and all that. So it was the crucifixion, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about the crucifixion, right? That moment in the Bible, in the New Testament. The crucifixion and subsequent resurrection of Jesus are central to Christianity. That's very important to Christianity. And the cross, sometimes depicting Jesus nailed to it, is the main religious symbol for many Christian churches, all right? One thing I want you guys to notice about the crucifixion is that it wasn't just Jesus. Always in the story, there's 2 other people with him. So there's always a total of 3 people being crucified at that moment. So it wasn't just him, it was 2 others. So there's always 3 people, right? And remember, they said that was near Joseph of Arimathea's garden, where he actually got crucified. It was near his property, right? So again, there's always 3, not just Jesus. There's always 3 with him, right? As you guys can see here, there's always 3 so the other 2 are supposed to be thieves or criminals, and he's with them. That's the story in the New Testament. If you guys don't know it, all right, 3 of them, again, you see here, 3 of them. And also to notice is that they're always impaling Jesus, like stabbing him in the rib or something. And a lot of the drawings or cases, it's, as you can see here, this cut right here, right in the front of him. That's where they stuck the spear on him. You can see it right here again. And that's where they collected the blood for the Holy Grail, remember? At Joseph of Arimathea. And then you got the legend of the Holy Grail. So I just wanted to point that out. There's always 2 other people with him, a total of 3 people, right? 3 people being crucified. Remember that, 3 people being crucified. All right. So we're going to take a quick break, all right? Because we're talking about crucifixions and crosses, right? Just want to remind everybody that the cross is not, original to Christianity. A lot of people ask me, so the cross was here in America before Christianity? And yes, of course, it was all over the world, the symbol of the cross. It didn't start with Christianity. This is just one example. This is the foliated cross in Palenque. This is a drawing of the actual wall. I'll show you the wall right after this. All right, let me just zoom in again. You guys see the cross. It's called the foliated cross. This is the actual wall. It's right in the middle right here. The foliated cross in Palenque. And this is a depiction. It's Aztec codice of the corn and the cross. And you can see the symbol of the bird. This was in my thought video. Same symbol you find in Egypt, ancient Egypt, with the bird landing on the tree. Now you see the corn, the life, the nourishment, the corn deity, the tree of life, cross in this representation. And then we got Quetzalcoatl, right? Look at this. So when we're talking about people getting crucified and all that, who were they really crucifying? I'm going to show you right now what Josephus, aka Arrius Piso, was writing about who really was getting crucified. Because it really was going down. It was going down. I'm going to show you who he was saying it was really happening, and history is really happening. All right. Again, this is a glyph from a codice, right? Quetzalcoatl. Look at that. The 4 corners across for footprints. Look at that. And it's on his back. This is some just symbols they find here. It says pottery of Costa Rica, Nicaragua. And you can see cross all over the place. All right. More pottery, and you can see the cross right here from ancient Costa Rica, Nicaragua. This is from Chupiquaro female figure. A Chupiquaro female figure. Right, and it has a cross. Look at that. See the cross right on it? This is way before Christianity. Okay. Chupiquaro, female figure. And again, one thing I want you to notice about this is where you would find that image of the Quetzalcoatl. You see in a codice like this, we got the original codices. All right, and they've been scanned, and you can find them online, digitized, very high. You can zoom in a lot. It's pretty good. What I wanted to show you here is this image on the left. And you see he's also kind of like crucified, right? He's also being tied with his hands and feet. But look at what's going on here. You see right in the middle, he has a dagger. He has a dagger right on him, right on his chest right there. All right, you see that? Like right under his chest, on the front. What does that remind you of? I'm gonna show you. Right? You see something here? Look, he's getting right there, right? He's getting jabbed right there. Go back. And as you can see, let's zoom in. He's getting, you see that? He got a dagger also. He's impaled right there too. See that? All right, so where are they getting all this stuff? What's the true old world? What's really going on? Who's really getting crucified? All right, you see the cross right here as well. This is Quetzalcoatl as well, and he got the cross. He was actually described as having a white robe with crosses all over it. We've read that in a previous book. This is from their mythology. This is found in their codices. It's a coat. All right. There's another depiction of him, and this is from a book, old book we found, and this is what they were depicting Quetzalcoatl as right here. I was able to enhance it a little bit, as you can see right here. That's what the book had for Quetzalcoatl. All right. I showed this. I showed it. You can go see it in my Quetzalcoatl video. This is actually the cover of that video, so you guys can go see it. I show the book that has them drawn like that, as you can see. And then I just want to also show this. It says here, stylized depiction of Christ's crucifixion compared to Moses' snake on a pole. So it says here, as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up. So you see that? John 3:18, who wrote the Gospels, right? Piso. So where he get it from? Moses, right? From the Moses thing, right? See all the symbology? For he made him who knew no sin to be sin for us, that we might become the righteous of God in him. 2 Corinthians 5:21. Right? And it says, Dane, Hushtan, or snake on a pole, made by Moses. This is from Numbers 21:5-9 and 2 Kings 18:4. Right? In case you guys don't know, that's in the Old Testament Torah. It says here, rod of Asclepius or Pifkus, pagan god of healing. Right? This is when they took it, you know, Thoth, you know, remember? Check out my Thoth video, Hermes, Hermetics, Caduceus, or staff of Mercury, messenger of the gods. Remember, Mercury is the same as Hermes. Mercury is a trickster, right? The trickster, right? Mercury is a trickster. Hermes is Thoth. Thoth did create Osiris and Isis and Horus, the Trinity. These are all epithets. He wrote these things. Right, that's Christianity. Osiris is Serapis, right? Osiris is Serapis. Serapis is Zeus, and Mitran eventually Jesus. And some more says here, the etymology of Jesus, the Son dying on the cross. I found this online. Thought it was interesting, so you guys can take a look. Hey, you see, it's a lot of symbology, a lot of things going into the writing. You know what Arrius Piso, Arrius Matthias, Joseph Ben Matthias, Arimathea, right? So, all right, let's continue with the video. I'm going to show you what Josephus was writing about who really was getting crucified, and then we're going to bring it back to Joseph of Arimathea. What does it have to do with him? All right, so we're going to read a little bit of the works of Josephus, right? So remember, Josephus recorded Jewish history. He's one of the most famous so-called Jewish historians, right? This is like their go-to guy. This is like the guy who makes everything official, right? The way they want it to be told, right? The way they want it to be told. So it says Josephus recorded Jewish history with special emphasis on the 1st centuries AD and the First Jewish-Roman War, right? Specifically those times, right? During the siege of Jerusalem, right? Including the siege of Masada. His most important works were the Jewish War and Antiquities of the Jews. The Jewish War recounts the Jewish revolt against Roman occupation. The Jewish revolt, right? So-called Jewish? No, these are the Hebrews. A lot of them Israelites. All right? Not just Jewish, like how we imagine today. Jewish. These Romans are trying to take over their holy land. Roman occupation. We're going to talk about who the Roman are. Antiquities of the Jews recounts the history of the world from a Jewish perspective. So-called Jewish perspective, right? It's Josephus. He's Roman. He's Arrius Piso. You see the hijack? Dodge the hijack, my people, big time. That's what they want you to think. A Jewish perspective. They just told us, right? What did they tell us? Flavius Josephus fully defected to the Roman side and was granted Roman citizenship, just like Paul. Uh-oh, hold up, we ain't there yet with Paul. Don't get mad, don't start getting mad again. A lot of people get offended with this stuff, and I don't talk about Paul. I mean, that's Josephus too. I'll show you that. That's another video though. We're talking about Josephus and Joseph of Arimathea, right? Now we're going to talk about Josephus and his writings, right? We're going to read a little bit of those writings. Who was really getting crucified according to this Jewish perspective, right? Of Josephus, Arrius Piso, aka Arrius Piso. Let's not forget Arrius Piso. Supposedly his perspective, and he was writing that for an ostensibly Greek and Roman audience. Oh, he was writing it for them, huh? He is them. That is his people. These works provide valuable insight into his first century Judaism and the background of early Christianity. Oh, how convenient, early Christianity, right? Piso. Josephus' works are the chief source next to the Bible. His works are what? The source, the chief source. That's the main source they go to next to the Bible. You see that? Arrius Piso put himself almost like he was, what? The Most High. He's trying to be the Most High here. My work is the chief source. Arrius Piso. Josephus' works? No, Arrius Piso's work. Next to the Bible? For the history and antiquity of ancient Palestine, and provides significant and independent extra-biblical account of such figures as Pontius Pilate, Herod the Great, John the Baptist, James the Just, and possibly Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus. All right, so that's Josephus. He made it official. Literally what they're telling you, if it wasn't for Josephus, none of these people would be real. But we know Herod was the real because we got they found the tablets, the inscriptions of Herod the Great and all that. And so we're going to get into his writings. This is just one example. It says here the genuine works of Flavius Josephus, translated from the original Greek. All right, it was written in Greek originally, just like the New Testament, right? According to the Haverkam's accurate edition. Okay, and so it contains 20 books of the Jewish antiquities. All right, so it's a collection of all his books. We're going to just do that because it would take forever to go through 20, 30, 40, 50 books, right? So that he wrote, right? Piso was heavy writing, right? This is volume 1, it says. The Antiquities of the Jews. All right, this is one of the books here. Just want to read what was going on here. It says, so they were saying here how he threatened punishment to the disobedient, which he threatened punishment. They were talking about the Hebrews, on which account they every day underwent great miseries and bitter torments, for which they were whipped with rods. They were whipped. Who was whipped? They were whipped. All right, whipped. Now, this is what I'm trying to explain to you guys. Who was this really happening to? Who got whipped with rods and their bodies were torn to pieces and were crucified? Who's being crucified? Hebrews, right? That says the Jewish wars, right? Antiquities of the Jews, so-called Jews. We're talking about a special people. This was happening to who? Romans were doing this to these people, right? This is Arrius Piso's people doing it too. While they were still alive and breathed, they were being crucified while they were still alive and breathed, while they were still alive, just like Jesus, right? They also strangled those women and their sons whom they had circumcised, as the king had appointed, hanging their sons about their necks, hanging on their necks. All right, guys, hanging on their necks as they were upon the crosses, hanging on trees. That's all over the New Testament. You can Google hang on a tree, New Testament. You're going to see that's what they were really hanging. They said in reference to Jesus, they hung him on a tree. All right, so so Hebrews, right? Not Christians. And if there were any sacred books or the law found, it was destroyed. And those with whom they were found miserably perished also. Whoever you were with also, okay? Go to another part of this book. It says here, upon this, Varus sent a part of his army into the country to seek out those that had been authors of the revolt. And when they were discovered, he punished some of them that were most guilty, and some he dismissed. Now the number of those that were crucified on this account were 2,000. 2,000 Hebrews. 2,000 people what? Hung, crucified, hung on the cross, crucified, 2,000, after which he disbanded his army, which he found no way useful. All right, that's just another one from another of his collections. Says here the works of Flavius Josephus, Winston's translation, revised by Reverend A.R. Shiletto, M.A. And this is volume 2, Antiquities of the Jews, book 6 through 13, 1889. I want to bring you to this part of the book, and it's talking about Alexander. I don't know if Alexander the Great, I believe, when he took over Jerusalem. Now, when Alexander fled to the mountains, 6,000 of the Jews mustered to him, moved by pity at his reverse. So Demetrius was afraid and retired out of the country, after which the Jews fought against Alexander and were beaten and slain in great numbers in the several battles which they had. All right? And when he had shut up the most powerful of them in the city of Betomi, he besieged them therein. And when he had taken the city and he got the inhabitants into his power, he brought them to Jerusalem and did one of the most barbarous actions in the world to them. For he was feasting with his concubines. In the sight of all the city, he ordered about 800 of them to be crucified, 800. And while they were still living, ordered the throats of their children and wives to be cut before their eyes. This was indeed by way of revenge for the injuries they had done him. But this punishment which he exacted was inhuman, though we suppose him to have been ever so much distressed, as it is probable he was, by his wars with them, for he had by their means come to the last degree of hazard both to his life and kingdom. All right, so they're trying to sugarcoat why he did it, but again, you see who's getting crucified. All right, we got another of his works here. It says The Wars of the Jews by Flavius Josephus, aka Arrius Piso, right? Remember, Arrius Piso is writing this. Translated into English by Sir Roger Lestrange Knight. So it has the Wars of the Jews with the Romans, right? With the Romans, Edomians, Romans in 7 books. The Life of Flavius Josephus, okay? Flavius Josephus. We're going to go to this part. This says here, the Jews miserably tortured and crucified. Titus severe in his own defense. Scandals. All right, so that's like the title. So remember, Titus is the one who was taking over Jerusalem during the time Josephus was alive, and you know, when he betrayed his people. But remember, Titus, go back to the previous videos. I know it's a little confusing. Most likely it's Arrius Piso, same person. All right, he's the one taking over. Okay, and says Titus all this while piled his works daily, but not without loss of men from the walls. It was the Jews' practice to steal out in the nights and look abroad for provisions, and not without some soldiers among them that could not get withal in the city to answer their necessities. These people were most of them poor, and durst not desert for fear of having their wives and their children's throats cut that they left behind. Neither durst they take their families along with them for fear of discovery. Titus, being aware of these difficulties, ordered out a detachment of horse to waylay the Jews in the valleys. Hunger had made them desperate. Remember, they surrounded the Titus and them. What they did is surrounded Jerusalem, so they couldn't get any food, so they couldn't get in or out any supplies. So new food was not coming in. So hunger had made them desperate, and talking about the Hebrews. And so out they went and fell into enemies' ambushes. When they found themselves hampered, they were then forced to fight upon necessity, for fear of some punishment worse than death itself. Beside that, it was now too late to think of begging quarter. In short, they were mastered, and after exposing them to all manners of tortures, they were crucified. In the sight of the besieged, they were crucified. Who's getting crucified? Hebrews, Israelites, Jerusalem. Remember, Titus was not all pleased with the severity of the rigor, but he did not find it safe either to discharge so many obstinate prisoners that he had now at mercy, or to spare men enough to look after them from the service of the army. Beside, the hope he had that the terror of such an example might move them to bethink themselves, lest it should come to be their own case. They were all crucified, but in several ways, in postures, not just in the cross, right? In several ways. That's what we were reading earlier. Several postures in different ways. I hung on a tree, crucified, different ways, different postures. Some to express their rage, others their hatred, and some again their mockery and contempt. But the numbers of the prisoners was so great that they wanted room for more crosses, and crosses for the bodies. Crosses, who? Hebrews, Israelites. And so far was the horror of this execution from softening the faction that as they ordered the matter, it wrought a clear contrary effect by the help of this invention. All right, so again, a lot of crosses for the bodies, right? Not just one person being crucified. This was happening massively to Hebrews. Remember, we're reading the works of Josephus. These are historical sources. This is not the Bible I'm reading, okay? Now, this is what Josephus said. I talked about Eleazar in one of my videos. And what happened to Eleazar? Well, remember what he did? He said, I ain't eating your pork, and I'm not going to pretend to be eating your pork. I'm not going down with your deals. I ain't trying to be an example of sin. Put me on the rack, he said. Put me on the rack. Just put me on the rack right now. I'm dying today because I ain't eating your pork. He said, I'm dying today. Eleazar, man. I'm going to show you what that rack was. When we're talking about crucifixions, one person getting crucified or martyred, a real martyr, a real son of the Most High, really representing. There was in this place a bold, an enterprising and daring young man whose name was Eleazar. This Eleazar made several vigorous sallies and did all that was possible, both by his counsel and example, to obstruct the progress of the Romans, of these Romans, right, these Edomians, and to put a check to their undertakings, insomuch that he made himself a terror to his enemies. All right, they were afraid of Eleazar. They couldn't, he wasn't going down with that whole Roman invasion thing. He wasn't trying to break the code. Remember, he wasn't trying to break the code and sing. No, as well as a comfort and support to his friends, being the first man still upon all encounters to come on, and the last in case of a retreat that came off. There passed a skirmish one day, and when the action was over and both parties withdrawn, Eleazar, in vainglorious contempt of danger or of any man that should dare to attack him, made a stop without the gate, and fell into a careless discourse with some of the defendants upon the walls, without heeding anything else, this being within view of the Roman camp. And one Rufus, an Egyptian, all right, Rufus, he snitched, Rufus the Egyptian, he snitched, and a soldier spying the opportunity ran upon him at unawares and seized him, all right, this Egyptian, right, helping the Romans, this Egyptian helping the Romans. What he do? He went and caught Eleazar. He helped him catch Eleazar. And what happened to Eleazar? And carried him off, arms and all, into the enemy's quarter. And Bassus presently ordered him to be stripped and publicly whipped. All right, stripped and publicly whipped. All right, pay attention. We're talking about somebody getting crucified, right, in the New Testament. Pay attention to what happened to Eleazar. Remember what he said, why they're doing this. Remember why they're doing this. Because he didn't want to eat the pork. He didn't want to sing. And he didn't want to pretend to be down with their things. He didn't want to be down with them. All right, we're going to read 2 Maccabees 6 again after this. So he got whipped. He got stripped and whipped. Who did that really happen to in history, huh? He got stripped and whipped at his length upon the ground inside of the city, the whole city. The Jews were so confounded at the calamity of this young man that the whole multitude broke out into tears and exclamations in pity of his distress. When Bassus found the generality of the people so passionately concerned for the misfortune of one man, who? Eleazar, one man, this one man, he computed with himself that if he could but inflame their compassion, he might gain his point and work them to composition of giving up the place to save Eleazar's life. Remember, they were trying to make a deal with him. They were trying to say, yo, just eat this pork in front of everybody because they think you're a leader. Just come on, do it for us and we'll spare you. So they're trying to make a deal with him. This fancy succeeded to his wit, for upon the setting up of a cross as Eleazar were to be forthwith crucified. Who? Eleazar was going to get crucified in a cross? I told you, he said, put me on the rack. The timber was no sooner planted, but the garrison broke out into an outcry with one voice that their affliction was altogether intolerable. Eleazar begged of them upon this to consider both his case, who was now to die a rash death, and their own, and not to contend any longer with the courage and fortune of the Romans, since the whole world had already submitted itself to their empire. But the bravest, however, of those that went first got off, and the rest of the number of 1,700 men were put to the sword. The women and the children made slaves. All right, Eleazar got crucified. Eleazar and a lot of people got killed that day. They didn't let him go. Eleazar got crucified. 2 Maccabees 6, okay? The martyrdom of Eleazar, one of the scribes, all right? He wasn't a young man. He was in high position, a man now advanced in age. He wasn't a young man. A noble presence was being forced to open his mouth to eat swine's flesh, but he welcomed death He welcomed death with honor rather than his life with pollution, went up to the rack of his own accord, spitting out the flesh. What rack? The cross. He went up on the cross on his own. Give me that. I'll tie myself up. I ain't eating pork. Okay? Going back to the bottom down here. He died, leaving in his death an example of nobility and a memorial of courage, not only to the young, but to the great body of his nation. He died so you wouldn't commit sins, not for your sins. All right? Eleazar got crucified. This noble person, Eleazar. Okay? All right, so we come to the New Testament now, right? This is John 19. Remember, this is the New Testament. This is not the Torah. It's not the same as the Old Testament. You guys got to start distinguishing that it's not the same. All right, New Testament, Old Testament. The Torah is the Old Testament. Torah, the book of law, is what it's really called. It's not an old anything. All right, so John 19, remember, this is written by Arrius Piso, Josephus, and all his family. All right, John 19, this is the story where they get the crucifixion of Jesus, and that, you know, those movies you see during Christmas time. This is the story you see. And in John 19, he tells you, or 18, I'm sorry, that he was where they were crucified him, right? Him is Jesus and two others. So there was three of them with him, one on either side, and Jesus in the midst, okay? So always there's three of them, right? There's three of them. Right, there's three of them. So if this is not Eleazar, right? If this is not Eleazar or all these Hebrews getting crucified, where are they getting this story of three people? I'm going to show you. But first, let's continue. John 19, 38, right? We got the famous character we got earlier. And after this, Joseph of Arimathea. So after he was crucified and pierced, Joseph of Arimathea, being a disciple of Jesus, but secretly, for fear of the Jews, besought Pilate that he might take away the body of Jesus. And Pilate gave him the leave. He came therefore and took the body of Jesus. All right, so, and then Nicodemus, another secret disciple, helped him. But again, Joseph of Arimathea, let's not forget who Arimathea. There is no Arimathea place. That's false. That's of Mathea, Arimathea. For remember Josephus' biography, Josephus is son of Matthias. Josephus, son of Matthias. That's where they get in the Matthias from. Son Ben of Matthias. But Josephus is Arrius Piso. So remember the Arimathea. Remember the Arimathea. This is in the book Creating Christianity, a Weapon of Ancient Rome. We go back right in the beginning, you know, where we were showing you. Joseph can be Josephus and Arimathea can be two names brought together using the abbreviation and acrostic techniques. Those names are Arrius and Matthias. Arrius Piso, right? Arrius. So looking at that name, now we can see it meaning Josephus Piso, Arrius of Matthias, Arimatheas, Arrius Matthias. Let's go back to John 19. So again, Joseph of Arimathea, right, was the one who took him down, right? He took him down from the cross. Really? This is what's going on? Where did they get the story from? I'm going to show you right now. So we're in the works of Flavius Josephus, okay? Flavius Josephus. Who's Josephus? Josephus of Arimathea is Josephus. I'm going to prove it to you right now. We already know that, but I'm going to prove it to you some more. Look what he wrote, all right? This is translated by William Winston A.M., professor of mathematics in the University of Cambridge. The works of Flavius Josephus in 3 volumes. All right, volume 1, page 57. All right, this is Josephus' writing. It says here, let's start up here. All right, let's start up here. Moreover, when the city Jerusalem was taken by force by Titus, Caesar persuaded me frequently to take whatsoever I would of the ruins of my country. All right, he's talking to himself. Titus is him. He didn't persuade nothing. Josephus is him. This is the hijack big time, people, and say that he gave me leave to do so. But when my country was destroyed, I thought nothing else to be of any value which I could take and keep as a comfort under my calamities. So I made this request to Titus, that my family might have their liberty. I had also the holy books by Titus' concession, nor was it long after that I asked of him the life of my brother and of 50 friends with him. Remember that he was pleading to save his family, supposedly. Now look what Josephus says. And when I was sent by Titus Caesar with Carilius and 1,000 horsemen to a certain village called Tecoa, in order to know whether it were a place fit for a camp. As I came back, I saw many captives crucified, right? And remembered 3 of them as my former acquaintance. How many? 3 captives? 3 captives being crucified. All right, pay attention. 3 captives being crucified. This is Josephus writing about what he's seeing. He's not talking about, book. We're not reading the New Testament. This is not Paul. This is not a Bible story. This is Josephus' historical information, a primary source, supposedly. Okay, what is he saying? He saw 3 acquaintances being crucified, right? And I remembered 3 of them of my former acquaintance. I was very sorry at this in my mind, and went with tears in my eyes to Titus, and told him of them. So he immediately commanded them to be taken down. Who? Josephus, what? He went to plead to Titus to please take my friends down. Please take my friends down. Hold up. We're back in John 19, all right? John 19:38. What did Joseph of Arimathea do? He was what? Being a disciple of Jesus? What did he do? He asked Pilate if he can take away the body of Jesus. He can bring them down from the cross. Right? Please, Titus. So it's the same thing. Look, Joseph of Arimathea asking the emperor to please let me take the body down. Let me bring the bodies down. Let's go back to that book. Again, Josephus, what did he do? He saw Titus and he told of them. He said, those are my boys, right? Titus, those are my boys. Those 3 of them are my boys. The 3 of them, right? Those 3 right there, those are my boys, Titus. Those are my boys, Titus. So Titus, what did he do? All right, you can take them down. All right, you can take them down. And what did Pilate say to Joseph of Arimathea, Josephus, Arrius Piso? Pilate gave him the leave. He came therefore, so he said, yeah, you can take him down. You can take him down, okay? So he let them take him down, right? This is Josephus, right? So he immediately commanded them to take them down and to have the greatest care taken of them in order to their recovery. Yet 2 of them died under the physician's hands, while the 3rd recovered. The third recovered. One of them what? Recovered. He didn't die. He resurrected. One of them recovered. One of them recovered. One of them resurrected. One of them recovered. Who was out of these 3 always? Who was the one that resurrected? These 2 guys died. He recovered or resurrected. He recovered or resurrected. I'm showing you guys where they got this story from. You see, it's all allegorical there. This is the day Titus took over Jerusalem. We read this in the previous parts of this. That's basically what they were writing about. The besiege of Jerusalem. Titus, Arrius Piso, that's what they were writing about. Remember when they said the son is coming. The son, they were calling Titus the son of God. The son of God is coming. The son is man. The son, God is coming. Titus, that was Josephus. That's Arrius Piso. Arimathea is Arrius Piso. Arimathea, all right, again, there is no town in Judea called Arimathea. Eisler speculates that he may indeed have been Josephus the historian, as Joseph of Arimathea. Josephus, right? I saw 3 of my friends. I saw 3 of them there. I know 3 of them. 3 of them. I remember 3 of them. They were getting crucified. 3 of them. 3 of them were getting crucified. Only 1 of them survived. Only 1 of them survived. That's in the writings of Josephus. There's no going around this. There is no going around this. It's a duplicate. This is where they're getting it from. Paul didn't write that. John, what John? We broke down who John is in the Piso family. All right, check out the chart. Go back to the last video, even though we're going to talk about it some more. So again, yet 2 of them died. 2 of them died under the physician's hand, while the 3rd recovered. The other guy, the 3rd guy, or the one of them, or the 3, resurrected or recovered. Eleazar. I know Eleazar got crucified. I know Eleazar got publicly whipped. He got stripped and publicly whipped. And what did he say? I know I could have been saved from death, Eleazar said. I know I could have been saved from death. I am enduring terrible sufferings in my body under this beating. They're beating him. But in my soul, I am glad to suffer these things because I fear him. Because I fear the Most High. I am breaking the code. I'm not breaking the code. So this whole Joseph of Arimathea is all fictional. Joseph of Arimathea was probably a literary fiction. All right? A lot of people know this stuff. You got to put two and two together. People were getting crucified, but not how they wrote it in the New Testament, not how Arrius Piso, aka Josephus, aka Paul, wrote it. Oh yeah, we're going to get to that. But we know these Romans, aka Edomites, we're going to see, once again, the Edomites had invaded Judah. Once again, these Romans had invaded Judah and crucified many of their warriors, their captives, okay? In the history of the Hebrew Commonwealth, from the earliest times to the destruction of Jerusalem, AD 72, translated from the German of Jan D.D., formerly professor of the Oriental languages, of biblical antiquities, and of theology in the University of Vienna, with a continuation to the time of Adrian, volume 2, all right? This is scholarly stuff here. We're not talking about Bible stories. It's real history. The history of the Hebrew Commonwealth. History. Josephus is a historical source, right? Even though he's Arrius Piso. This is really happening. We go to page 384. It says here, dispersion of the Jews, Abravanel observes that we may call the subjects of the Roman Empire and Christians in general Edomites. Who Christians? Serapis? Who's the Christians really? Who are the Christians and Romans? Christians, Roman Empire and Christians in general, Edomites, with the same propriety as Isaiah addresses the sinners of his time as the rulers of Sodom and the people of Gomorrah. His parallel between the Romans and Edomians, Edomians, Romans, and Edomians is carried much too far. They had, he said, like Esau and Jacob, a common father, even God. Esau, by his marriage, allied the family of the patriarchs to strangers. Look what he did. They started mixing with all these nations. The Edomites and the Roman Empire and the Catholic Church are composed of various nations. We showed the coat of arms, a lot of those Catholic families, remember, who are equally offensive to God. Edomites, Roman Empire. Esau hated Jacob and wished to take from him his birthright. Jacob is who? Israel, Israelites. It's a lineage, it's a family. They take his birthright, his property, and his life. His property and his life. Who did that happen to? Think quick. And the Christians treat the Israelites in the same manner. Why did the Christians treat the Israelites like that? I thought Christians and Israelites were the same, Farther, the Kabbalists assure us that the soul of Esau passed into the body of Jesus Christ, and hence is it that letters in Esau by transposition form Jesus, right? Look at that. Esau, Isus, Esau, Isus, Esau, Isus. That's deep. I'm not the one saying it, okay? Esau was born under the planet Mars and was therefore a bloodthirsty man and a hunter, and the Edomians, heroes, his descendants. Edomians are Edomites, is Esau. All right? His descendants who ruled over Italy were cannibals who devoured the bodies of their enemies whom they had slain. Farther, the Roman emperors were dressed in scarlet because Esau was of red color. Esau. The cardinals also wear red dress for the same reason. All right, so Roman Empire and Christians in general, Edomites. Who's the Edomites? Who's the Edomites? All right, and who's Quetzalcoatl? Who's Eleazar? Who's Eleazar? Who's Quetzalcoatl? All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this presentation. Got more parts coming and more different topics. Again, continue the other parts of my other series, of course. Just wanted to get through this a little bit. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys understood what I was kind of showing you. As you can see, Joseph of Arimathea is Josephus Ben Matthias, is aka Arrius Matthias, right? Arrius Piso. And the three people that were getting crucified, Josephus' boys. And he brought he took them all three down, and only one of them survived. All right, only one of them survived or resurrected. So thanks for tuning in. Much love and respect. Awah.
Brace 3,000.